Alrighty, Doc here from North America. It's Happy Wednesday, middle of the week. Happy to hump day. Our fearless leader, JoJo, did his thing yesterday. I didn't watch it. Read the transcripts and so forth, and then watched some of the odd things that he did. Just, classic JoJo. Just the way it rolls. Let's put the dollar index up there. And let's see. Let's go in both directions here. The dollar index. Whoop. Where am I at? Oh, right there. There it is. How's that? That's a little bit better, I think. Let's check the chat line at the same time. Let's see. I'm trying to make the picture a little bit clearer. Today I switched monitors, and it seems like it looks a little bit bigger. I think that's the way it's working out, a little bit bigger today. So we'll go from there too at the same time. And let's get that dollar index up there. It looks like the dollar index, but it's not. It's the gas. Isn't it amazing how much natural gas looks like the dollar index? Let's put it up on there. There it is, right there. The dollar's been bouncing for the last couple days. Like I said, they've always got to take a profit somewhere along the line. And if not now, when? I think that's the best way to look at it, really. It's like, if not now, when are you going to take a profit? So, when you look at this move that's been in the dollar index, look at that. This little bounce doesn't mean a lot. It's just hey, Janos. It does look better. Yeah, I was switching monitors around, and it took me a few minutes to get it organized. But it looks to me better too at the same time. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Bigger, brighter, clearer, the whole gig. And let's see, where's Mr. Mouse again? Right there. And let's see, how do we got that going like that? Is that pretty much? I think that has to be moved over just a little bit so you can see the lines there. Okay, that's good. And so if I just move that over a little bit like so, I think it all encompasses it. I go like that. Yeah, see, that's perfect. You can see the lines there. You can see it here. What do we have up on Chicago Quant there that we're looking at? Oh, that's the S&P 500. Let's drift down to the dollar index itself. I think it's been acting whack. I have to reload that thing. The CME one doesn't seem to be working right at all. Just seems to be stopped in there. So we'll just depend on the DXY for the moment. Whoop, wrong screen again. Like so. And so you can see the strength in both of them. In this case here, I think the weekly, last I saw, the weekly was through. I'm not sure why we're not getting it cleaned up. It's like that situation with the Aussie. For some reason, we're not getting the Aussie anymore. Don't understand why. I get Aussie Canadian, I get Aussie Yen, and now I'm not seeing that. But let's see what we can do about this and change the settings. See if we can alter that whole thing. CME equity. CME futures, electronic interest rates. Let's try that. See if that does it. Still doesn't do it. We'll have to work on that. We'll find time and chase it. But at this point, that is without a doubt, the dollar is just doing a little bounce, which makes sense. I heard some interesting stories over the last couple of days about it, in the sense that the dollar index was also at the same time, because of the way they thought that what Powell said yesterday would have an effect on the dollar. They thought it would sell it down, but it didn't sell it down, which was kind of surprising to me, because everybody was looking for that, and instead the pairs trades, just kind of the pairs trades themselves seem to be, just still a drift on the downside. Just a simple drift. Now, I don't think when we go over to, let's just go over to the euro to take a look at, like right there. You see the euro is still holding up on the weekly. You see it right there. It's has no problem whatsoever. Is that it? Right there. There it is. It has no problem whatsoever. It's in that buy, and it doesn't seem to be really breaking down on any real level. Now the cable, which was and let's put it up on J4X too. The cable, on the other hand, does show that weakness, but I think that's more of just a confused government and government policy at this point. It seems like the stories you hear out of there where someone was suggesting that they put in move to try to work towards cryptos or something like that as a currency, which is really strange. I mean, that's incredible volatility. Can you imagine? It seemed like if you compared to what happened with the cryptos compared to the pound. I mean, the pound ran up to like 130, fell down to 103. Over a yearly period. The cryptos run up to 69,000, almost 70,000, trade down to 16,000. That would be like watching the pound go from 130 to something like 40. Just from 130 to 40. I mean, that would be just devastating economically. And this is coming out of the exchequer itself. That's the amazing part. So there's a real confusion going on over there about what a currency is, and after many centuries of having a solid currency, for some reason or another, they have no clue. Hey, Robin, how you doing? So that is that. And did you watch JoJo the Monkey last night? I did not. I watched and I read the transcripts. I understand Mrs. Biden put a lip lock on the vice president's husband. They say all those wild things. I mean, that is one friendly family. One friendly family. Yep, indeed. And I understand that Joe did the same thing. He put a lip lock on somebody. Everybody's like, who is she? Oh, my God. You can't make this stuff up, I mean, it's too weird to make up. So there's no way in the world you can make this stuff up. But when you see it live on TV and you see it repeated in recordings. RFK. What is let's see. Could you take a look at the US 500 and the volatility? Yeah. Hey, how did you like that explanation yesterday on the what do you call it? The VIX. I was saying that last couple of weeks we've been talking about that, how it's just a laggard indicator. Now there is the S&P right there. Not there. Let's get it up on there. There it is right there. You see it's just kind of hanging out from where it left off yesterday. Oh, I hear Robin calling in. Hey, Robin. Say that again. RFK. No, that was the vice president's husband. Oh, she did vice president. She did Robert Kennedy Jr. too. Oh my God, they're swingers. It's obvious they're swingers. No. Yeah, I gotta jump. Bye bye. Yeah, Robin just called. He said that she also did a lip lock on Robert Kennedy Jr.'s son. No, they live in Delaware, and we're like a stone. We shop over in Delaware. It's like right nearby. It's like a county and a half away. So it's like 20 minutes away in any direction for shopping. Go there, and he has a place in Rehoboth, and I was down on the ocean for years, and no, but they're definitely swingers, and a lot of those people along the ocean are swingers on some level or another, depending on where you're at. You put people down on the ocean. It's in the wintertime, no one's around. They do funny things. I can tell you stories. Lots of mommy and daddies doing funny things together. But no, I'm not blocks away from him. But he's been around here a long time, and we know all his antics, I guess you could say, his crazy stuff, and we hear the stories and so forth. But then they do that on live TV, where she's locking lips with a couple different men, and then him doing the same thing. That's their natural tendency. In other words, they're used to that. They're swingers. They're swingers on some level or another. So, I mean, you see it in the laptop and all the stories that's going on in there. It's pretty graphic, and also very questionable. But that's the way life is. Hey, whatever floats your boat, So there it is. There's the S&P 500. It's just bouncing around. We're still in the buy for the second day. You can see the weekly looks very comfortable. The fast-moving the algorithm there, the dotted line there, is moving nice and steadily, very firm, very comfortable. It's above the zero line. And then over on the VIX, let's take a look at the VIX. The VIX is back into the daily sell yesterday. There it is right there. This is the second day going into that sell. And it's in that long weekly. Let's tighten that up a little bit more, like so. Right there. It's in that it's been in that weekly sell now since the 30s. You can see right there, and you can see the fast-moving algorithm itself never piercing through the zero line. Playing around a couple times, but just not piercing. And same thing there, and you can see the green line, the slow-moving one, has dropped underneath and doesn't seem to be able. When they met once right there, all we got is another sell-off. So that's the way it rolls there. They do the keys, the car key game. You put them in a bowl, and someone reaches in and grabs a car key. Automobile thing, and next thing you know, that's who you're with for a couple hours. Yep, that's the swinger universe of the shore. All right, from there we slide over to where we're looking at the euro. Let's take a look at the cable, unless someone wants to see something there. Let's see something. Let's go to the cable. There it is, right there. There's the cable, and you can see the cable. It's turning into an inside day right there. So it's starting to stall out a little bit, and then over here, let's see, right there. Matter of fact, you can see on our work, we are trying to turn up. Let's see, let's bring that over more. There we are. You can see we're pushing into a daily buy as we speak. The weekly dropped under last week. Let's see, and what is it? It's plus right now. So the weekly is actually in the plus, and the daily starting to bottom. And like I said, we've seen some strange stories come out of the Exchequer, their central bank. And none of it makes any real sense. But, it's like got that political correct thing going on. So anything's possible there. There we go. And let's put that right there. Matter of fact, I'm going to stick it down there, because this way I don't have to move it around. If it stays in the buy tomorrow, then or tonight, then I'll keep it there, and if not, I'll erase it out. NZD dollar. Let's see what that's doing. That's like 9 days, or what is that? Well, I have it something like. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. There it is. NZD dollar. I think that's 10 days in a. Is it buy or sell? I think it's in a sell. So it was 10 days in a sell. Let's see if we can do this. No one's asked to look at that in a while, so let's make it much more presentable. Let's make that thicker. There we are. That's to start off with. There's no dots on there. Let's get some dots on that thing too. Indicator. Add. HZ down. Okay. And HZ, see, add HZ up. There we are. So we got the dots in there now. Let's get this straightened out a little bit more. Style. Let's add some thickness to some of this stuff so you can actually see it. There we are. And that looks a lot better. There we go. And let's save that. Save. Now, oh, and let's get the grid working right too. There's no, you can't even see the grid. Format the window. Let's see, is that it? Color, white. There we go. So you can see there, it was in a weekly cell. It went into a daily cell here. Went into the daily cell there. Let's spread that out a little bit like so. Now you can see that better. So it goes into the daily cell right in there. And it tries chopping around, but it doesn't succeed very well. But notice today, just like the British pound, the dollar is finally being pushed down a little bit in there. And then this is the weekly right here. Let's see, we have it set right. There we are. And let's put the 0 line in there. And there's the 0 line. You can see it's been in, I said, no, that's not the 0 line. There's the 0 line. So I went into the weekly cell here. Let's grab a hold of this. Right there. Breaking down right there. Interesting how it bounced back and, oh, not that. Wrong pink. Cancel. Right there. And you know what, let's change that background a little bit, so like that one. That's a little bit better. There we are. So you see the pressure on it from this action in here. You know, I do find that it's interesting. The New Zealand dollar seems to be a very interesting product. You know, many times New Zealand dollar is more or less neutral now. No, well, up until this morning it was in a sell. You know, it was in a sell from on a daily basis from there. And on the weekly basis, you could join in here, and then you catch the ride down. Now today, it's actually trying to get into the buy. You can see that right there. It's a little bit down, but it's trying to get into the buy. It's above the 0 line. Let's put that 0 line in there too, like that. There we are. There you go. Save workspace. Yes. There we go. So you can see there, it's trying to get into the buy. We'll put that little green. Where's that at? What is jamming? Okay, there we are. There we go. Let's get that green line in there. And you can see here, it's trying to get into the buy as we speak right now. Now, would like to see, you know, look how tight. I guess if we move this over a little bit, you can see, look how tight the 0, it is on the 0 line right there. Very tight. Now, we were in a buy from back here. And went into the buy. I'm not sure what that wild spike is. It's almost like a Turkish lira thing all of a sudden out of nowhere. And then you see that, you know, it had that momentum going in and out. It didn't go into the sell there because it was red and it was green and red, and it didn't go into the sell there. So it went into the buy there on that crazy spike right there. And did it vacillate back and forth a couple of times? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. No. So it stayed in the buy from there all the way up, and we were in the weekly buy from here. So I guess it would be like right there. So it's kind of interesting. There we are. Oop. There we are. So I would say, no, it's right now it is trying to go neutral. Right now, as we speak, it's trying to go neutral after 10 days in a sell. And so that kind of makes sense. And again, profit taking probably going on, so forth and so on, because that's, I mean, you have, when you have these nice long runs, you have to assume somebody's going to take some profits. Ah. Let's see. From there, we slide over to. Let's see. We could go take a look at. Well, we'll just stay on the tour unless you want. Big guy, if you see anything else you want to see, let me know. Okay. All right, and then from there, let's put it up on J4X also. I just want to see what it looks like over there. It shows you. When's the last time someone actually asked for that? See that? We don't even have it on J4X. So let's do this. NZD. There you go. And it's loading. There it is. So it's been moving down also. Same thing. Same pressure on it on the daily for... what's that? That's a daily for... I'm curious. Okay, so it's vacillated back and forth a few times. But it caught this nice move right there. So that's pretty cool. All right. From there, we jump over to the Swiss. Let's see what the Swiss is up to. There we are. It's inside candle now too, kind of neutral. I do an analysis on inside outside days. I've been doing that for about 43 years now, and I back tested it on the Dow Jones Industrial Average back even further, and it's very interesting inside and outside days. When you get a lot of those, like 3 in a row, 3 out of 4 days, it can be very a big shift in action. In other words, the market might have been going up, and then and it could go turn into a sideways action, and we depend on our math to get us the rest of the way, or vice versa. It's trying to it may change the trajectory itself, the angle. So inside and outside days are interesting products to follow. Very interesting products to follow. And so then, and we talked about what Janos had asked about when it came to the VIX, about the idea of the zero, what was it, the zero options, having an influence in the sense of what's being executed and what's not being executed. So, all right, and then from there, let's zip over to, do we have the Swiss up? Let's get the Swiss up on here too and see what it's looking like on J4X. Right there. You see a little weakness there, just like we see a little weakness right there. Nothing major. Actually, didn't even realize that. Look at that. It's below the zero line. So there you are. It's gaining against the dollar. And that's what we expected from Powell's conversation yesterday at the, was it David Rubenstein's operation there, as the former chairman of the vice chairman of the Democrat Party. They had, that conference or something, and he, basically talked about what's going on and so forth. And, in the end result, that's usually the way it rolls. All right. From there, we zip over to the yen and see what the yen is doing. And there's the yen. Wonder if you see it's doing the same thing. They have a real natural tendency to march along together. And you can see the weekly's doing the same thing, just like over in the Swiss. it is flirting with the weekly sell. Whoa, pushed it wrong. There we are. Playing with the weekly sell again. And that had been in a weekly sell now since that topping out back in here in the 50s or the high 40s. And we climbed into the buy for 1 week. And we got the daily buy, and they pushed it up, and then now they're flirting with the weekly sell again and the daily sell. So that means, dollar is obviously, stronger. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, is the dollar is not, I'm sorry, the yen is stronger, the dollar is not. And that's what we were expecting. We were expecting the strength in the dollar to dissipate. And that's what we're starting to see again. And there you go. There's a red hanky there, matching our red dot. And you can see the pressure on it. And you can see flirting with the sell. And you can see right here the little green line breaking down today. Let's see. Where's the last green line? Right there, right? Or is it there? So, yeah. So it's breaking down. You see that weakness. And you can see again, that's what we're expecting to see, is that we're expecting to see, just another dead cat bounce in the dollar. That's it. Now, how did that get moved around? Let's move that up there again. There we are. Yeah, it's really showing some real weakness here in the middle of the week. Looks like it will close in the weekly sell. If it closes here tonight, it's going to be closing in a weekly sell. We'll have a pink line through there because it's going through the manifold. When it goes through a manifold, forget it. It goes into the sell. Same here. You can see, where's it at? Right there. It gets through that manifold. Yeah, and you got the histogram, moving into the minus the whole bit. It definitely emphasizes the sell. In other words, it would have to, for it to get into a buy, we need to go through this top manifold up top here. All right. So from there, we slide over to the Turkish lira. Literally one of the more interesting currencies to follow over the last decade. You can see this is the fourth day now on the sell. But the weekly buy is still holding up, but you can see right here, the fast-moving algorithm has dropped and closed in a weekly sell last week. So you can see that pressure is really coming on hard and fast with a daily sell at the same time. That's what it's been doing. It's been pressing down. Now the question is, will the slow algo get into the minus? And if they're both in that minus, it could be interesting. I don't really think it's going to last long, because it wouldn't surprise me if you see the fast algo end up turning up and then the slow algo turning down. So, becomes that mixed combination. All right, and then from there, let's see, let's put it up on J4X. Right there. We don't see, you can see that's why I made that statement right there. See that line right there? That same thing happened to the, was it the New Zealand dollar? You had that spike out of nowhere. Boom. It's some of these products, when they come in for them, boy, they let them trade. Notice that they close them normal, or, they seem to close them in the range, but boy, do they allow out of the range trading. In other words, it's you have to assume who's benefiting from that. Who has the power to benefit from that? It has to be the central bank. So in other words, someone comes in big, maybe companies contact things like central banks and brokers and banks and so forth to change currency. And maybe they tell them, well, you got to wait, work through it over the next 3 days. And they go, no, we want to get it executed now for the accounting. And they execute it and they pay whatever it is and then take it right on the chin from there, Let's see. The Turks had stopped trading today in Istanbul. Yeah, that would make sense because the exchange index plummeted. What that means usually is that that like day traders and so forth didn't want to be trapped in anything, so they just dumped their positions. The professionals dumped their positions. So in other words, they'd rather, if the exchange is going to be closed, they would rather be neutral than have a position. Now, when it comes to the currency, we do see the currency gaining in value. The bigger question is, has it been gaining against the dollar, the lira, because there's no action and no one wants to do anything at the moment, because of the earthquake situation, or vice versa? I would say it's that. That's what I really believe it is. In other words, when you see a currency start to calm down from some of these wild swings, it usually means that the participants who were making it swing wild have backed off. That's how it usually works on the execution floor, the trading floor back in the old days, and up on the trading desk also. If trading desks get the word, they start telling each other trading desks that they deal with. They tell them, we've walked away. We're not making a big market anymore in this for the moment until it's over with. And then what happens? Only the desperate who need something reach up for something, but they'll actually say, okay, let's wait a couple days. So the two things make sense. The stock market taking it on the chin really hard. That's because people who participate in that market don't want to be involved at the moment. And so they would rather be flat. Take the hit or profit and be flat, because they don't know if there's going to be a state of an emergency for 30 days. Remember when the World Trade Centers came down? We were shut down for what, 10 days, 7 days, something like that. 7 business days. I think we opened up. We closed on. We were closed on Tuesday from the building falling down, and I don't think we opened up until Tuesday of the following week or something like that, or Wednesday. I think it was something like that, when they finally got the safety and everything set up down there. So, when they see that, they think, okay, well, the earthquake, after traumas, what's the government going to do policy-wise? How much money's coming in internationally? I understand, over $1 billion has come in already internationally to them to help out. And they've always been on the edge of being part of the European Union. So as much as they have, under President Aragon and Prime Minister Aragon before that, have changed the angle of it or the direction of it, it's still a neighboring country. And so they're going to participate with it, especially being a bordering country like that, help out. All right. And then from there, where do we go from there? That was Turkish lira. Let's jump over to Canadian. I would assume Canadian is heading down solely because oil just keeps on lifting. And there is barely budged, which is interesting. You can see here it's trying to push into the sell as we speak, as right there. But it is not exactly. I would have thought it would have been much lower. I really did. I thought, wow, we're going to come in here and see a challenging. Let's fix that. Right there. Nope, wrong one. There it is right there. I would have thought in my head, and I hadn't looked at it today, but I would have thought that they would have been challenging these lows. The 133 area at least. Sitting at 133.99 is a little surprise to me. I would have thought it would have been lower, because look at this. This is what we've got going on the energy sector. Right there. We've got, off this lows, they've made back what they gave up 3 days ago. Maybe that's part of it, In other words, they've basically only gotten up just a little bit of the last 3 days. And so you got the oil trading in the 77s now, where we came off of the 72s and 73s. We're also flirting, as you can see, right down in here, we're flirting with a weekly buy as we speak, right there. So, again, it does surprise me. I keep on expecting to see the Canadian function better with the oil market, but it hasn't. It has not been doing that. Let's put the Canadian up right there. There's the Canadian. It's trying to turn red. And let's find it over here. We do have a mouse around here somewhere. There it is. So you see there, it's red just like it is on Chicago J4X right there, and at the same time we are piercing, and it's trying to pierce right there. See that the little green line is trying to pierce, and it's not that high up, it's only in the mid range, but we're doing that on the weekly. We're staying in that weekly sell as much as they tried to keep it, push it, shove it, twist it into the weekly buy. It doesn't seem to be having that much effect. Yeah. All right. From there, we drift over to the metals complex. Let's see what they're doing with the South African rand. There it is right there. And the rand has been moving up. And I did see gold up. When we sent the charts out this morning, gold was playing with, it was above the daily buy number. So I'm a little surprised we're not seeing the rand start to back off. And we'll put it over here. Where's it at? Right there. All right, yeah. So it's playing with the daily buy. And the weekly is still holding on by a ticky, 8 ticks. Still 8 ticks above, and doesn't want to give it up. And then we go and look at the rand over here, and it's hanging out up basically at the chaos point. I guess I would call it that. It's above the close of that day where they thought the president was going to have to resign. So it's hanging. It's acting like as if, like nothing's resolved. That's what the problem is. It's acting like nothing is resolved. Big Guy says 101 and 102 is major weekly support for the DXY, according to Justin Bennett. Don't know Justin Bennett, but that's a cool thing. I would imagine so. There's, I noticed in the back of my head, I've noticed we seem to. Let's go over to J4. Let's go to J4X and look at the dollar index, because I've noticed that too. I've noticed it's been parked there. Let's see, where's it at? There it is right there. Yeah, you can see there's the dollar index. And you can see for a while here it was parked in that 101 area. It really was, just parked there for, back three, was that, let's see, what was that, 4 weeks back and 5 weeks back. You see all the low there at 101. It seems to be really parked in that area. And then it started to bounce, are we seeing, like a reverse head and shoulders, and this is the shoulder, this is the head, and we're going to drive back up to this 104 area? I would be a little surprised if we got that much strength into the dollar index. And at the same time, we are in a weekly buy at the moment. There's no doubt about that. So, do I think that that's a big, strong support? Yeah, I do. I think that the markets like to gravitate towards century points. Let's see, how do I get that down smaller? There we are. Yeah, so that they do that. They do hang out in century areas. Like there's we're not even there's a century there. It's even lower. That's 50. So right down in here is 100. But it does seem like it's parked itself in that 101, 102 area. And now you're seeing the 103s. And I would really be surprised if they take out that 105 up in here. I don't think that the head and shoulder is going to work that way. I don't think it'll be a head and shoulder. Yeah, I would consider this a dead cat bounce. I would. But I have been curious every day that we start off with the dollar index and we look at it. It has been curious that it's been parked in that area. In other words, all I kept on hearing in the back of my head when I thought about it a few times, or when I do look at it, I go, it's parked above the par, the 100, the 100, and so that means money is not that fast to dump the dollar. That's all that means. But they have come down from 115, so. It's kind of like the way we looked at natural gas. People were looking at it, and it went from almost $1.40. It was like 138 and change, and it ran to $10, and now it's trading at like $2.50. So, it's not getting back down. We're not going to see 92 or 95 so easily, but I think that's where it's going to drift to over time. The reasoning behind it is that I think that interest rates are going to drop in the States. I think we're at least 3/4 of the way done on the tightening. It's a combination of a few things. More responsible spending. Okay. The Congress, the House of Representatives, is the one that spends all the money, and right now the Republicans have control of it, and so I don't see wild, crazy spending sprees anymore. And then with that helps the Federal Reserve to not have to raise rates. And it makes it easier for the Federal Reserve to just try to confront inflation itself. And so that's the second reason. So and then is there a third reason? A third reason is I think it's overvalued overall. I think that for it to be all the way up to 115 just shows desperation of a weak global financial system, where the only one you can really run towards is the euro. You can flirt with the yen or the dollar or stuff like that, not the dollar, the cable or Swiss, but you see how frail they are. They don't have the ability to hold up the world financial market, and so I kind of think what will happen is it'll, and this is as I say all this out loud, I have to agree with was it Bennett you were saying about the idea that it's a big support area. It is. It has to be. It makes sense, because once it breaks that century mark, then what's going to happen is the hands that are, we used to call it the pockets that hold it, or the hands that are holding it, are going to start to think, maybe now we're going to go see the mid 95s, and that'll shake them up a little bit. They may, to bounce. This is going to be this is probably the best dead cat bounce. And when we put it up on the screen totally like that, that's probably this is going to be, the strongest one of all, from the low here to its high. And I guess you could take a look at this one to there, this one to there. You can see how this one broke down and it was about, I guess it was a little bit stronger than these. But I would say this is probably going to be the stronger one, and it may bottom, or let's say the resistance could be not the 105s, but the 104s, like the meat of it in the center here. That's what I'm thinking. That's the way usually I think about it, and so that's what I'm thinking. And then when you combine, which I've got to start getting ours updated again, the Chicago Mercantile one. I think I'll delete it and reload it after the webinar today or at the end of the day. But when we go to the, is that right? Yeah, there it is. When you look at this is still in the weekly buy. It got through it. I saw Monday it did. So I'll fill this in tomorrow, get that straightened out. But I would think that the dollar is going to be, that 101 to 102 area is like the wall, or like it's like, oh, if it breaks that, then and then what happens? Money starts to think, okay, we're going into the 90s, and they do. They start, psychologically send themselves there. So let's see. Less government spending and interest rates going down next year. Yeah, that's pretty much what it seems like to me. And then you could go to, questioning M1 and M2 and M3, the money supplies of the different forms of money supply. At the same time, there's a little pressure from them because people need dollars. In other words, China doesn't keep almost $1 trillion worth of assets in the United States because they love America. They do it because it's the only place to park it. Japan, on the other hand, is half and half. They have it here because they do love America, and at the same time, they have nowhere else to park it. Again, that's that parking it somewhere. And then, same thing with the European Union. That's the second largest economy in the world, and again, people need to park their assets somewhere where they can move them. And if you go, they can't. If the Chinese tried to put $1 trillion into Australian dollars, it would explode the poor thing. It doesn't have the ability to handle it. It just doesn't have that physical inventory to deal with it. Okay, and it has the ability to move it into the euro on some level, and that's probably part of the strength you're seeing in the euro. That's just part of it. But I really do believe more of the strength is I think interest rates are dropping in the future in the United States. I hope that makes sense. I mean, it does make sense. I know your questions, big guy, make me confident that I should not have said, does that make sense? Because I know you do understand that. And so sorry about that. Without a doubt, you do. Your questions reflect that you have the ability to totally understand that and extrapolate off of it, no less. So, compliment to you. Tip of the hat. All right. That's why I always say there are no dumb questions in trading or money. There's only long answers or short answers. Yeah. Cool. All right. So from there, where are we going from there? We go to. Where are we going from there? We were looking at the dollar, and we just finished off the South African rand and gold. So we go over to the Mexican peso. That's what it is. Right there. So we do the American peso. Do. Yeah, see that moving back down again, and that's a sign of strength in America. When the Mexican peso is gaining against the dollar, to me that's a sign of stability of policy, of our U.S. policy. What is Yano says? What is the general outlook for inflation in the upcoming months? I think, to be honest, I'm going to throw this one out there, and it's got a long answer afterwards, and we'll explore, I guess, on some level, but. I think that we're not measuring inflation correctly. That's the bugaboo of it all. In other words, I think that inflation overall in the United States is higher than they're reporting because of the way they subtract out fuel and energy, fuel, energy, and food. They subtract those out of the calculation. And where have we seen the most massive expense of inflation has been in fuel and in food. Why they subtract it out, I always hear people literally giggle in the financial industry live on TV and go, I don't know how they could do that. In other words, when you're really looking at inflation, isn't the classic picture, like, a meme or something like that, isn't it the classic picture of somebody with a wheelbarrow carrying Wehrmarks or something like that of currency in a wheelbarrow trying to buy a loaf of bread? You know what I mean? I mean, how do they give us an official central bank number without calculating energy and fuel and food? Yeah, they do. They do, and you see that. You do see those numbers are high. But when we report, like right now, inflation's 6.4% officially in the United States. I really think it's higher than that. But it's not that important in the sense of now that we've got control of the spending, they're going to be able to slow it down, and it'll help the central bank deal with it without having to print money. And that's a good thing. See, Giannis says on the second question of Giannis was the dollar down would mean inflation up, and then the Fed should prop it up again. True, but I think we're coming to the end of that. That's what it is. Yeah, and those are the top positions in any personal expensive budget. Exactly. That's why I've seen analysts, quality analysts, on like Bloomberg or CNBC or Fox Business, which I follow Fox Business more than any of the others, and I've seen them giggle. They've actually giggled and said, how can you subtract those out? They'll say something like that underneath their breath. You hear it on TV. They'll say, and how do you subtract them out? And then there's no conversation after that, because it's not included. So what are you going to do? Debate something that's not? The last 2 weeks have been devious in the central bank regard. I thought the insanity. I'll tell you, I've seen strange things, but when the Exchequer came out and said they think they need to drop the pound and get rid of it and go to crypto, I thought, what the hell are they talking about? It seems to me I could write a long text. Oh, I have no doubt. I agree with you. I mean, I've seen some strange things out of the central banks over these last couple of weeks. But some guys summed it up on Twitter correctly. Yeah, basically that's what it comes down to. Yeah, that's the attitude in many ways of the ruling power here in the states. Biden, the polls, the majority of Democrats, his own party, don't want him to run again, and a majority of the party doesn't like what he's doing. But as a friend of mine who was in politics with me throughout the decades now, basically said the same thing to me a couple days ago. How did he say it? Oh, he said it yesterday to me. We were talking about something, and something was on the satellite radio in the truck, and he said politicians have stopped paying attention to the taxpayers. That's what he said to me. They don't pay attention to the taxpayers anymore. They've given up on that. They just don't care, and that's what the problem is that that they're not responding to it, and the people in the House of Representatives now running the place listen to the taxpayers, and all you hear is, from the opposition is like, personal attacks or, just make stupid statements up and so forth. In other words, the Democrats just refuse to look at reality. They have to vote now. Mrs. Pelosi had made it so they didn't even have to vote. She voted for them. And now they all have to vote, and they all have to speak on the floor. So you're seeing a lot of Democrats vote with the Republicans on things now. It's as Yana said in the very beginning of some of this, texting. Yeah, about it's been the last 2 weeks have been devious in the central banking regard. Yes. Yeah. Very crazy stuff going on. I agree with you. Alrighty, where'd we go? We're done the currencies unless someone wants to see them. And what we'll do is we'll shift over to, let's do this. Let's close that. There's Uber. Save workspace. Save workspace as. Save. There we go. So let's go to, there is that's the currencies. So let's go over, let's go check out silver and gold and all that stuff and natural gas. Let's finish it off that way. So there is, we'll fix that dollar index tomorrow. I'll get it fixed today. And then, where is it at? Right there. There is the back month, trading at 78 and change now. And, the front month is trading at 77. Let me see, where's it at? So 78.25 versus 77.89. That's only 36. Remember, yesterday it was trading at 61 cents. And they're both battling to get into the buy. So when we get into sells, the spread, the contango spread, is definitely well worth doing. And then when it starts to get into the weekly buy again, you take those spreads off or flip the spreads, do the reverse direction of it. Here's natural gas right there. And you can see we were in a daily buy yesterday. The day before we got a little volatility signal. And today it's backing off a little bit. It made it a higher high, and then now it's backing off just a little. The weekly is without a doubt, staying comfortably into the sell. And then let's take a look at it on J4X. And let's go to my favorite stock in Europe. Couldn't believe it was trading at 26.02 yesterday. So today it's probably trading at 26.10 or something like that. Right there. 26.13 bid at 18. So, it's lifting up right along with the way natural gas is lifting up. Only view we have. Matter of fact, look at that chart when you really think about it. It's doing that flat line thing that big guy was talking about with the dollar index. It's kind of, and it's trying to do a reverse head and shoulders. Oh, please not. We don't want to see natural gas any higher than it already is for the Europeans. And you can see, it's trying to turn here at the same time. Let's see. Then from there, we slide over to, let's see, where do we go? That's it. That finishes off the energy side. Let's take a look at silver. Silver was busting into the buy last I saw. Yeah, there he goes. Now it's dropped underneath it again. It's at zero line. Our weekly is not shifted. You can see that there. It's staying pretty comfortably down low, you know. And that last statement by Janos is totally right. The taxpayers and the average people are not being treated very well at all by the ruling structure. Geez, the European Union the European Union Parliament, you don't even get a chance to elect who's the president now. They've got it set up to a point now where the bureaucrats put the president in. Talk about a loaded game, you know. Rigged game. Definitely a rigged game. And then over there, let's take a look at copper. This is usually a view of China. Right there. You see it's trying to perk up. It's also trying to get into the buy there. This was one heck of a move since the close of the CCP Congress back in here. We've had a nice run there, and then we had another nice run when they took off COVID and said they're going to open up their society. So problem is that they don't really create much. They're a big, like I said, they're like a colony of the United States. They provide to the U.S. heavily, and they get $200 to $300 billion a year providing to the U.S. So it's a very strange relationship. It's not a clean, clear, symbiotic relationship, that's for sure. All right. From there, we drift over to platinum. Let's see what platinum's doing. I think it was working the weekly sell last we looked. Right there. And you can see it's trying to perk its head up, but we're on the second week with no problem in a weekly sell, and the stuff stays underneath. So we're probably not going to see strength until we see some strength in that. And then we have a client following palladium. So let's show you the palladium. We got the chart, why not? And there it is right there. It went into the buy yesterday. It's lifting again today, and you can see the weekly is trying to lift up a little bit in here. So it seems to be joining in with the gold contract. Seems like it's marching along with the gold contract. So I think we'll since we have somebody following it, we'll pay attention to it more. Maybe it gives us a tip the way platinum does. Palladium may be a good indicator on some level. We'll have to watch it and see. All right, traders. I guess that's about that. Any other questions? If not, we'll cut out and see you tomorrow on Thursday. Yep, Thursday. So this is Doc from North America saying arrivederci. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. All right, traders. Later. Be safe, be smart.